Okay, today we are going to do a video on disassembling your dash cluster. And as you all know, we have the reproduction bezels coming, so a lot of people are anticipating those. We've got over, well, we haven't hit 200 yet, but we've got a lot of requests for these bezels. Hopefully we made enough for the first round, but do get in queue for them. First come, first serve on these. Now the pieces that we sell to restore them, good used pieces, are some of them very limited supply, so that's why some of you are saying, hey Don, make a video. I'm not quite comfortable taking my cluster apart. I don't want to screw things up. Pretty simple, but I'm going to do a video anyway. So here we are with the 68 XR7. This is junkyard fresh. You see it's broke there and cracked there, and the chrome is long gone. If you were to send these in to one of the dash restoration places, you know, they could fix all that, but you know, it'd be over $1,000 and months waiting and yada yada. So 68 has a few nuances different than 67. 68 has the trip odometer that is lower profile. Remember in 68 they had to make the cars safer, so less protruding sharp objects. So that's why you see the low profile button there. And that has to come out before you can separate. So one of the first things I do is usually these just spin right off. And I'm going to point out another little nuance here. The size of the hole on these is different. See, that's big. 67 has a smaller hole. So that one threaded out nicely. Sometimes though, on these crusty cars that have been parked, you'll have a hard time. Don't force it, wiggle it. I don't know what you're gonna do. Get some penetrating fluid back in the recess somehow. But if you force it, then the thing that it threads onto on your odometer will break off, and these speedometer odometer XR7 assemblies are getting very hard to find. I never have more than a handful in stock. Keep in mind, if you want to defray the cost of your reproduction bezels, I will take items like really nice speedometers, tachometers, amp gauges in trade. And on the amp gauges, they don't even have to work because I like to send them in and get them made into volt gauges. So that's just a little side there. Secondly, after taking this off, we're going to take off the wiper switch. In 67, it's a smaller one and it'll fit right through there. So you don't take off the knob. But in 68, got to get your Allen wrench. And I already put a little dot of my penetrating fluid in there, a little drip, and got it loose. So there's our second item. Now we're ready to tackle it from behind. And just a few simple tools. First off, I'm going to start off with taking off this wiring harness. Now this is something I would replace. Technically, that's repairable. Rats have been back here. See where they've been eating on that? Technically, you could clip this wire, put on that heat shrink tube that you put a heat gun to, and it, you know, or your butane torch. But these harnesses are plentiful on our website and not very expensive. So if a rat has got to yours or it's been modified, I say just let it go and buy another one. But I'm going to let you choose on that. So we're going to start, and don't worry too much about the order in which you took them out, because even though you can't see it on this, you'd have to bead blast it to see it, it's stamped. You know, blue, red stripe, each one violet. See, you got the word violet there. Anyway, and keep in mind, again, 67 is different than 68. And the reason the backing plates are different, 67, 68, is the wiring colors change. So some of them are just wiggle out like this. Some of them are twist. Great time to upgrade to LED bulbs. Something you want to put in your shopping cart. And when I take these out, I twist them like that. A little bit of wiggling on every one of these helps. This is the ground port. And if yours has been buggered or somebody's been in it, take a good look at how this is. This is the way it should be right here. This is how it's supposed to be assembled. Okay, we got everything out of the way. There's one more plastic guy here. This, you'll want to be really gentle with this. You might even work it from the back side. Sometimes you just wiggle it and they come right out. Okay, next we're going to tackle these. And notice there's rust and corrosion on those. You don't want to force them because these studs embedded in the gauges behind them will twist and will ruin your gauge. So I'm going to be really gentle and slow with these. And you might even, this is the wrong screw gun. I like using my little tiny screw gun that you can really feel the resistance. This one isn't the best choice, but I've done it enough times that I'm going to go ahead and use it. Whoops, getting confused on which one it is. This one's 3/8. And I'm just going to go so gentle. And because I pre-soaked these, the corrosion on there isn't the, yeah, see that resistance there? You got to be really careful. It's important when you put them back together that these go on the right way. Insulating pieces. Look at that. Again, every little piece, including these, even these little, are on our website. So if you lose something or something's boogered, don't worry about it. Most of this stuff is easy to come by. Not all of it, most of it. Even these little red insulative things are on our website. Okay, we got a couple more here. This is tachometer. And keep in mind, if your tachometer is bad, this is the time that you would send it in for rebuild and get the more dependable 3-wire tack. These tacks are known for going bad, and when they do, your car quits running. Of course, you can just, on the car side, not the tack side, bypass it and your car will run again. But don't throw away bad tachometers because they can be repurposed and made into 3-wire tachometers. Okay, now let's hit the Phillips screws. These are pretty dang common. So we'll probably get some new ones on our website here shortly. And that one's already gone, and my drill just barely fits in there. Gonna hop all over. One more, it looks like. Okay, ready to lift this off. And this is where you need to be oh so careful of your needles. You don't dare want to bend those needles. So we have a tack tester. So if you are unsure if your tachometer works or not, you can always send it in to us and we'll take care of you. Again, we're going to be oh so careful, not hurt any of those needles. 4/0 steel wool will clean the chrome up on those pretty good. If they're bad enough, like this one might be pretty bad, you can just get some silver paint and paint that. We have overlays for these gauges. Some of them get really bad in the sun. They get cracked and ugly. Like this one. This one's starting to get cracked and ugly and brown. We have overlays for those. It'll make them look like brand new. On my speedometer here, we're going to take that off. I do believe it's a different, yeah, it's 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead. This is 11/32 on that little guy. This one's what I call a grade B because if you look closely, the 0 there is losing its paint. So usually it's only on the 0s though, because A lot of times kids get in these old cars and play with them and hit that button, and then they're all at 0. Anyway, this would probably be a grade A if it wasn't for that 0 being that way. But those are getting hard to find. Again, we take those on a trade. Let's keep going here. Most people, I think, are going to want to buy new lenses. Reason being is these little chrome guys don't come with the bezels. They come with the lenses. And we have these full set of lenses. If you want to be cheap, though, you can hand polish these usually, and they'll come out fine. And then you can get the little pens, chrome modeling pens, and you can do fake chrome on that. And since it's just a little dot, most people aren't going to know that it wasn't re-chromed. So those people that want to save some money and keep your original lenses, it is an option. Okay, here we go back to a Phillips. And every one of these has to be taken off. Whoops. Okay, looks like I got all those. Bonk. Okay, this action, it takes just a little finesse. Now you see where there is 4 metal tabs holding this bezel in? You only really need to take 2 of them and bend them. Notice that one's kind of rusty and that one's kind of rusty. I'm purposely not going to bend those because you bend them more than once, they usually break off. Again, if you do break them or they're too rusty, don't worry about it. We got plenty of them, they're not expensive. So now that I got 2 of those loose, I'm just going to slide it out. Therefore, when I put it back in, I'm not disturbing these. These are ready to bead blast and paint with SEM trim black paint. This one has 3 tabs. These are the smaller rings. So I have to bend 2 tabs over. Bend them just as little as possible. Give them a little push with your screwdriver. Bingo, you got it out. And we have to keep going on every one of these because this, if you wondered, is what holds your wood grain fascia in place. There's 1 tab on that. And I suggest you go slower than what I'm going because you just want to be careful. I'm trying to go at a good pace here because I don't want you to suffer through this boring video for any longer than you have to. Yeah, this would be a good time to get all the dirt out of every crevice, detail things. Whoops. Nope, I'm not getting that tab very well, so I'll skip over to this one, get a different angle on it, give it some finesse, and gently push it out. Now, if I've taken everything out, and I have, this wood grain fascia should nicely lift off. Now this one doesn't have any dents, but every once in a while you'll see a little dimple of a dent. And this is really thin, pliable stuff. So you can take, say it's just a pointy dent, you can take something somewhat pointy, oftentimes something wood, not metal, is best to push. Sometimes it's a shallow dent, and you can just push with your thumbs. Be oh so gentle. And what I've found with messing with stuff like this is less is more. So you got a good sized dent or a crease or whatever that you're working from the backside, and it looks 90% better. Oftentimes you're tempted, well, if I work on it a little bit more, I'll get 100%. Probably won't. Get it good enough and stop. We're looking to reproduce these. Don't know the price, so don't ask me, and it'll be quite a while before they're ready. So you can hand polish this with some fine cutting material and put wax on them and brighten these back up. And if you're wondering how faded your bezel is compared to factory, you just look inside here and see how red and everything that is right there, and then go out here. Yeah, that's what was factory. This one isn't overly faded, a little bit faded. Don't forget to take this strip off, just 1/4 inch socket. Lastly, you got a little lens here for your high beam, and it's just held in with double-sided tape. So I'm just gonna push that out. Save that little guy. If yours are savable, yeah, it's just a little bit dark on that, but you might be able to buff out some of that darkness. Things to consider buying new. If you're staying with incandescent lights, these, like this one, started to melt. See that? It's discolored there and a little bit bubbly. That was from a bulb that was too hot. And these get opaque over time. If you're going with LED bulbs, you actually don't need to replace these. The replacements are much more clear, but the LED bulbs are so dang bright, they'll go right through this. If you're staying with incandescent, you might want to replace these. Highly suggested, actually. Don't forget to take this little guy off. You can't force it, you just want to get your thumb back there and gently push it, because you'll break those tabs off. Again, if you lose it, break it. We got other ones, and we even have these little rubber grommets that go on them that seal it to the dash. This will bead blast up nicely after you've taken off the IVR. These little red guys. So that's about it.